City. This is Charlie Rose.
Christopher Hitchens is here, born in England, educated at Oxford. He has become a Washington insider, known for his prolific writing and for his wit. He's a longtime contributor to The Nation and Vanity Fair. His new book is called No One Left to Lie To, The Triangulations of William Jefferson Clinton. Explain to me your feelings about him and how you came to these conclusions, because you are as passionate about your animus towards him as anyone I know.
Yes, I really don't like him. My little book is, in part, is an address, I hope it's got a general interest, but in part it's a reproach to the American left, to the American liberals, for falling for him and for defending him when, apart from anything else, he is an extremely, and always has been, a very extremely conservative person politically, but also because of his corrupt and selfish, and I would say mean, almost psychopathically deceitful tendencies that have done enormous damage to politics, as any honest person could appreciate them. I think it's been a tremendous sign of the degeneration of American liberalism.
You come to
and that's been an argument really well worth having, because it's fratricide.
I'm prepared to argue that debate. I mean, they have that debate with you in a sense, not debate, but pleased to engage you on it. But you say so many things that it's quickly to jump on them. One, you come at this from your own ideological position, which is where?
Well to the left of Mr. Clinton, well to the left of most people.
Well, so I mean, you're not just...
Well to the left of The Nation, actually, which is where I started.
The Nation magazine, yeah. Well to the left of traditional liberalism in America.
Yes, I mean, whenever I go on C-SPAN, our old mutual friend Brian Lamb always asks me, said, "Are you still a socialist?" I know one day he's hoping I'm going to say, "No, okay, Brian, I've got over all that now, I left all that behind." Partly just to spite him. Yeah. I'm not going to deny it. It's where I learned my politics, and what I learned from it isn't by all means all useless.
So, I mean, characterize yourself in terms of any politics in England and the United States.
No, democratic socialist.
Democratic socialist.
Because it's an international position. One of the reasons I'm attracted to it is that it's the same in all, or should be the same for all societies.
A democratic socialist like Tony Benn in England?
I'm quite an admirer of Tony Benn.
I
have differences with him, but he's an honourable guy, and I know him slightly, yes. Yeah. That's not... I'm not a great admirer of Mr. Blair, who I think is, one of those people who wants politics to be all things to all men. But I don't think is a mean person or a corrupt person.
So the difference in Blair and Clinton,
in many ways,
your money
differences with Clinton, you see, are not political. They are to do with a ruthless, megalomaniac political style, and with a real self-advertised readiness for corruption and dirty work, which is what got me into trouble with him and his cohort.
Right, well,
are we getting ahead of the story?
Well, yes, but that's okay.
I can begin at the beginning if you like. New Hampshire, I always suspected that he, Clinton. I always thought this new liberal Democrat, or rather, excuse me, New Democrat and Democratic Leadership Council, DLC, was a bit glib and a bit sordid, because if you, after 8 years of Reagan and 4 of Bush, to conclude that the main problem in American politics was that the Democratic Party was too much to the left, seemed to me a weird conclusion. And it was all based on saying, well, what we've really got to do is address the morals of the underclass. That's the real problem with this country, is the underclass doesn't behave well. I thought that actually there were some overclass problems that needed attention, but... So I admit I went to New Hampshire not liking him. I didn't much care about the Flowers business. I still don't. I think he treated her very badly.
Jennifer Flowers.
Yeah, I think he treated her very badly, and I think he lied to everyone about it. But that seems so unsurprising.
But any other politician would have handled that the same way, would he not?
Here's what he did.
But any other politician would have tried to.
No, if Mr. Clinton said, yes, I did, I loved her, and it's none of your damn business, we'd be living in a much better culture now, and I would have applauded him if he'd said that, and it would also been true.
That he loved her?
Yeah, well, he certainly acted like he did. He's since
loved her?
Yes. They were obviously very tight, and she really loved him.
Yeah, I mean, did he love Monica?
Well, suppose that he had said he loved her. And yes, I did. That would have just been a little nicer than saying, well, no, I had nothing to do with her, and then 7 years later saying, okay, I did it with her once, and that was it. As if he doesn't know that it's the height of bad manners to sleep with someone once.
But Washington is full of politicians who are not stepping forward to say, I had an affair with someone that I may have told him I loved.
But don't... anyway, here's what he did to get over it, out of it.
Right.
He was many points behind by this stage. He left the campaign trail in New Hampshire. He flew down to Arkansas, where he was still governor, to personally supervise the execution of a lobotomized black defendant, inmate, Ricky Ray Rector by name, in Cummins prison, who couldn't even understand the charges against him. He'd blown his brain away. He was gone. He didn't know he'd been sentenced to death. He didn't understand when they came to give him his last meal what was happening. and Clinton just made it absolutely clear. He was changing the subject.
He rejected the
law and order. You're not going to get me on law and order. You're not going to think I'm soft. You're not going to You're not going to Willie Horton me.
Right.
And the two things about it that sickened me are, one, that he did this in cold blood to this guy, and I have a long section about it in my book. And two, that no one in my profession and no one in the liberal wing of politics thought this was a test of character or of intention. Because among the things that depressed me, I did write a column about it. Murray Kempton did. That was about it.
Right.
What depressed me really was the suggestion it had of a relationship in the president's mind, or the then governor's mind, of a sick relationship between sex and death. That he would change the subject away from the illicit flowers love nest to the lethal chain.
Okay, but then you are putting what you were doing in that case. I mean, you can make the argument that he should have been more compassionate, more sensitive in that issue, and you could make the argument that he did it because he wanted to firmly come down and make his position about capital punishment evident to all, and that he was tough on criminals and not compassionate about issues. Let me finish my point.
I'm sorry.
My point is that you are simply, you are reading motivation where you don't know as to the fact that he left Jennifer Flowers because he wanted to tie together sex and death. That the motivation to go there, rather than distract from Jennifer Flowers, was in fact...
It was a very strange week to leave New Hampshire. He was in trouble. It was quite a desperate gamble to go down there. And this is a guy who, any other week, would have received clemency from the governor, because there was no one in the prison thought he should be executed. This is a tough prison, in a tough state. The prison chaplain resigned on the issue. The warders and others had been quoted as saying, we shouldn't have done this to this guy. It was like killing a child.
The prison where this man was imprisoned,
they said it was like
it
was like killing a child. Okay.
But did they say it shouldn't be done?
Well, yes, of course they said it shouldn't be done.
I'm asking, I don't know.
Yeah, and the prison chaplain resigned. This is not a sentimental area of the United States, as you know. So, no, I'm sticking to my point. I think it was an atrocious thing to do. It suggested something faintly monstrous about the guy, and it suggested that there was probably nothing he wouldn't do. And it also suggested an attitude to a signal, you might say, about what kind of...
but he addressed that criticism at the time, did he not?
No, he didn't. There was never a response. I asked him.
There was some criticism. I remember people raising the question.
No, he has never been asked a question about it. I know, because I tried in New Hampshire, and he turned his back and walked away.
But,
now, shift the scene.
I mean, there was criticism. I beg to differ. I beg to differ with trepidation, because you've written the book. But there was no criticism of him at the time anywhere. I know there was. And
let me phrase it to you like this, Charlie. Let me phrase it to you like this. If a Republican governor, an ambitious Republican governor trying to be president, had, in the course of a tough primary, returned to his home state to supervise the execution of a retarded, mentally disabled black man, the name of that man would be very well known. I think you'll agree. We would know.
I'm not arguing whether he should.
We would know, all right. Ricky Ray Rector's name is practically not known at all. That's in a sense, my point.
Your point also is that this, for you, is a defining...
the liberals,
is a defining what? This act was, for him, a defining insight into his character, and what else?
Well, I thought so, and I thought it showed as I say, a creepily sadistic attitude, and a willingness to bid for the racist subconscious as well in the electorate, to say, look, don't call me soft. I can snuff this black guy who doesn't know what the charge against him is. Willingness to bid for that. A willingness to get really rough when he was already engaged on lying on another front about Miss Flowers in changing the subject. And what I consider to be an eerie and unattractive ability to get liberals to keep their mouths shut, which they shut them then, and they've kept them shut ever since, about that kind of calculation of what it entails.
Because liberals, I assume the indictment here against liberals and then the Democratic Party is that they made a cop-out